Welcome to the Chapter 22 clear of my no paid DLC and no RNG drops engage Maddening LTC run. 6 reclasses happened between this chapter and the last. Amber is now a warrior for the extra attack. Kagetsu is a Lance Axe Wyvern Knight, and Citrinne, Rosado, Lindon, and Mauvier are all Griffin Knights for the staff utility. A good amount of staves will be used here to facilitate movement, as even though the objective of the map initially is to collect all the scattered emblem rings, it eventually becomes a route map after all the emblem rings are collected. Saphir is first going to chip and apply Draconic Hex to this warrior.
Mauvier reporting.
Mauvier is silencing the Meteor Sage. The hit rate isn't good here, and there's little that can be done besides giving Mauvier a magic and dex tonic. With Saphir's chip and the debuffs, Pandreo can now finish the warrior off. This is another instance where the Levin Sword is better than Bogonon, as Pandreo doesn't need to worry about the counterattack due to breaking the enemy.
Allow me. Understood.
With the Radiant Bow +4, Merrin can one-shot all the flyers on this map. The Byleth engraving is to get her 100% hit without sacrificing damage. Citrinne and Lindon are creating a wall so that the Tomahawk Wyvern is forced to attack Merrin from range and get one shot on the counter.
Count on me. I hear you.
Ivy is putting an obstruct in front of herself so that the warrior can only attack Pandreo.
Where are we headed?
All right.
To summon emblems, Alear can be no further than 3 spaces away from one.
You got it. Come and face
Alear's
me.
obstruct blocks the sages from accessing this area, and that's important because one of them has Excalibur, which will deal a lot of damage to Kagetsu if it hits. So it's best if he doesn't have to deal with that enemy.
The choice is yours.
Saphir is trading Pandreo over to the Celica engraved Bogonon because he faces crit this enemy phase otherwise. She didn't need to crit, as Pandreo will still be doing 64 damage with the Bogonon. Hortensia is obstructing in that position to prevent the Royal Knight at the bottom from ending on that tile. Mauvier ended his turn on that tile so he can bait and kill the singular Bogonon Sage. Pandreo isn't doing a ton of damage to these sages, but he's doing enough. He was given last chapter's Spear Dust just so he can chip these sages enough with the Celica engraved Bogonon. It's a fairly low impact stat booster all things considered, but that's mainly because magic damage won't be very relevant past this chapter in this run. This group of 3 Griffins move when the Lynn, Byleth, and Lucina emblem rings are summoned but not all collected. Therefore, to get the Griffins moving, there was no rush to pick up all the emblem rings last turn. The hit rate on this freeze isn't too bad since Lindon also has Divine Pulse due to picking up Byleth. Alear's freeze is not very accurate though. I mentioned back in chapter 16 that staff hit rates were a pain point of this run, and this chapter is the main reason why I said that. While the combats on enemy phase in this chapter are pretty close to fully reliable, the hit rates on player phase staves are dubious despite having skills like Divine Pulse and Staff Mastery whenever possible. Trimming down offensive staff uses to improve reliability in this chapter is something I'm looking to do in future iterations of this run. The Minivo was only forged to +3 to get 100% hit here, as Amber doesn't need the +1 might to kill. Mauvier finished his job with the Lucina engraved spear, so he's giving it to Merrin before using Recover on her. Because of Rosado's obstruct and how the rest of my units are positioned, the rescue pushes Merrin much further than she'll normally go. which is exactly what I need because Kagetsu will be using the Lucina engraved Speed+2 this turn. Zephyr is tripping and applying Draconic Hex on the worm so that Kagetsu can finish the enemy off. After this speed taker stack, Kagetsu has 41 speed, which is 1 more speed than needed to double the Swordmasters in the middle group of enemies. The dex and luck that Lucina provides Merrin actually gets her to exactly 100% hit on the Griffin. Kagetsu will be using the Lucina engraved spear this turn to not get broken and is warped specifically on that tile because the Swordmaster below him always attacks first. That way he won't have to deal with a chain attack whittling down his HP. Veil 1 rounds thanks to the magic tonic she used last turn. Even if Kagetsu got hit by the Royal Knight on turn 1, he should almost never die here because every enemy needs to land every hit. If Kagetsu didn't get hit by the Royal Knight on turn 1, all these enemies do not deal enough damage combined to kill him. Ideally, he doesn't get hit by nearly everything because he can't sustain all the damage as the map goes on, and healing for Kagetsu is rather limited. However, there are adaptations that can be done if he absolutely needs the healing. Because Zephyr has C support with Alear and is also activating her personal due to being under 50% HP, she has an additional plus 30 hit here to reliably one-shot the Griffin with the Ike engraved silver bow. Even if Merrin cannot counterattack, she is going to canter forward to draw the Elthunder High Priest out. Depending on how the enemy phase panned out, Alear will either physic or use Restore on Kagetsu. Most of the time a physic on Kagetsu isn't needed because he'll be using an elixir this turn, therefore using Restore can be nice to prevent subsequent enemies from dealing more damage to him. Assuming there are no poison stacks on him, he needs to be at 58 HP or above to survive if everything hits him this enemy phase, so just deciding Alear's action based on how much HP he currently has should be fine. Alear is obstructing that tile so that no enemy can end their turn on it.
Let's pray.
Pandreo is equipping the Corrin engraved L-Surge because he faces crit this enemy phase and also wouldn't have 100% hit otherwise. While I use a Pure Water here, it isn't necessary in this scenario because the L-Surge Sage moved north last turn and isn't in range to attack Pandreo. Sometimes the Sage will move right, so in order to make Pandreo a less attractive target to attack than Mauvier, he uses a Pure Water. Citrinne obstructed above Pandreo as I cannot have the Paladin attack him from that tile. If Kagetsu started this turn with really low HP, Citrinne can use Physic on him instead, but in that case the Time Crystal might need to be used to manipulate the Paladin to attack Pandreo from the left. Rosado obstructs that tile to prevent the Great Knights from reaching Kagetsu this enemy phase. Even with Forging Reprisai to +1 specifically for the extra hit, Mauvier's combat with this Sage is one of 2 battles that do not have 100% hit on enemy phase. This combat with the Brianak Halberdier is one of 2 battles on this map that Kagetsu perfectly reaches the 1 round benchmark for, and he reaches it because of the bonus Mentorship EXP that ultimately brings him 1 level higher than he normally would be. Thus, when he leveled up last enemy phase, he got the point of strength he needed to reach this 1 round benchmark perfectly with the Leaf Engraved Tomahawk +2. Otherwise, I would have to forge this Tomahawk higher, which would strain my resources and hurt reliability elsewhere.
I am fine.
The Paladin needed to attack Pandreo from the left because otherwise he'll be blocking Citrinne from repositioning Hortensia. While Kagetsu is here, Hortensia is going to use Entrap so that the Bow Knight is pushed up. She got a Goddess icon to raise Divine Pulse proc chance slightly. This Bow Knight has a longbow, so since I don't have a good way to deal with 3 range on this team, she must be taken out on player phase instead. Vale takes the Lin Engraved Thoron for 100% hit here. She gave Pandreo the Sigurd Engraved Boganome +2 because he'll need the extra might from that tome next turn. The emblem rings can be rescued, so Ivy is going to grab Ike for Mauvier to collect. This rescue interaction is a bit weird as it puts Ike above Ivy, but I'm not complaining. It's turn 4 already and reinforcements spawn on turn 5, so I need to summon and collect all the emblem rings this turn to prevent reinforcements from spawning and adding to the amount of enemies I need to route. Amber does need his personal active to get 100% hit here. That's why the ordering of the turn was done this way, as the emblem rings are considered units that would deactivate his personal if he was next to one. Alear obstructs that tile to create a wall so that the Bow Knight cannot reach Citrinne and Hortensia before activating the last set of emblem rings for Rosado to pick up. Rosado obstructs in that position to prevent both Great Knights from attacking him this enemy phase. Because Rosado and Alear have less expected damage on them, the El Thunder High Priest will target Merrin this enemy phase. This recover is in case Pandreo got hit by the Paladin, as he'll need to be close to full health next turn. This is the other combat that doesn't have 100% hit on enemy phase. Merrin also just reached the 2 round benchmark by hitting level 5 in Wyvern before reclassing to Bow Knight. Hortensia moves first because this entrap's hit rate is not good. I'm considering a way to cut this entrap out, as for some reason having the Micaiah engrave on a steel sword rather than a slim sword causes the Martial Master to chain guard rather than attack Rosado. So using this knowledge I can manipulate the Martial Master into attacking Rosado instead of chain guarding. But I'm a decent amount of damage short from killing, so a deeper dive into the possibilities will need to be looked at in a future iteration of this run.
Give me strong foes.
I've been giving Amber kills on this map when I can, as he needs to reach level 2 in Warrior for the next chapter. If he doesn't reach that level benchmark here, he can get the next chapter's arena to make up for it. Saphir needs to attack first to apply Draconic Hex. And then Vale can go into the convoy to grab the Silver Dagger to finish the Martial Master. If Pandreo had gotten hit by the worm, Citrinne would be using Physic on him as well. The combined healing of both Alear and Citrinne should heal Pandreo up to 32 HP, which is enough for his needs this enemy phase. One of these Great Knights has Warding Stance, which grants +6 resistance if the player is initiating, so Pandreo will have to kill that one on enemy phase. Kagetsu could only kill the Mage Knight this turn, or he would be out of range if Ivy tried to rescue him from this tile. These two heroes will normally be next to each other, but if the Elsurge Sage body blocked one of them during turn 2 enemy phase, one of them will be lagging behind like what happened here. Kagetsu needs to be in range of both of them on enemy phase, while also being next to Ivy for +10 hit, as he's 2% off from 100% hit otherwise. Even with the Roy Engrave on the Silver Lance, Kagetsu has 39 speed, which is sufficient to double the heroes. With this Silver Lance, he has exactly enough damage to 1 round after the strength level up he got in this chapter.